The 1980s was a bridge decade in the world of politics, pop culture, and technology. Meanwhile, the entrepreneurs of tomorrow were receiving an education at Weber State College.
My education from Weber, I kind of went into communications, and so we have Alvey Media Group, and we are a communications company. We do video taping, we do TV commercials, very high-end kind of video production.
Thinking about the Union Building reminds me, causes me to think about Stephen Nadald and Rod Brady, both fantastic presidents.
Growth and recognition was the theme of the 1982 Acorn, Weber State's yearbook. Beginning in the late 70s and on into the 1980s, building at Weber State grew at a rapid pace.
They'd have a 5K race starting or finishing at the Union Building, and if you were fast enough to be the president, you got a t-shirt that said, "I beat the president." And so it killed me, but I beat the presidents both years.
J. Farrell Shepard had expressed the concept of student involvement throughout his entire career.
What a union does and how it can bring the students and faculty and others together. It's a facility and it's an organization as well. It's not just a building.
Well, the school had a great feel, great faculty and staff, tremendous opportunities to get involved as a student in other things beyond the classroom, with student government, a great newspaper, lots of different ways that you could enhance your educational experience.
I was, for a number of years, on the college activities board. So CAB was a big deal in my day. That's where all the stomps were. That's what we used to call dances. We had them pretty frequently. And so one of the biggest things that I remember is it was a college, but it was the heartbeat of my life at that time. I mean, when I went to Weber State, it was the centerpiece of what was going on in my life.
President Brady captured the spirit of this great school when he said, "Weber State College is unique and personally appealing because of the breadth of its comprehensive academic offerings, the strong emphasis placed on quality teaching, and a broad recognition that the students are the most important people on campus."
When I left Utah to head for Duke, I knew that I was going to one of the premier schools in the country. And I was both anxious and curious about whether or not my preparation at Weber and at the University of Utah, how it would stand up against some of the better students in the country. And what I can tell you is that I learned within the first month or two that my preparation here at Weber College had been excellent.
Many students can trace their fond memories back to the Union Building.
I remember the ballroom, all three ballrooms being packed with kids and bands, live bands. We never had records or DJs.
I think we got a lot of mileage out of the Union Building, from the ballroom, the lobby, the classrooms that were there. I have some memories about some of the food service areas. There was a restaurant that would do a hamburger that they called the kitchen sink. It had every topping you could imagine, and they were very popular, very delicious. I remember standing in line in the bookstore down in the basement and noticed a cute girl behind me and started talking to her, flirting with her, and 5 years later ended up marrying her. So I met my wife in the Union Building.
A large part of the learning experiences at Weber State is the opportunity for students to learn from a wide range of guest speakers. Former middleweight champion Jake LaMotta, Watergate mastermind G. Gordon Liddy, Roots author Alex Haley, and CIA Director William Colby brought their unique talents to campus as the Union Building hosted many events. Perhaps the greatest event of the 80s was when the Union Building was memorialized in the name of a humble and dedicated man, J. Farrell Shepard. Shep was honored in a ceremony held May 27, 1982. The 90s were full of technological breakthroughs, revolutions, and conflict, both within our borders and without. Early in the decade, the U.S. showed its force in the Gulf War and later sent peacekeeping forces to Bosnia. Atlanta, Georgia hosted the 1996 Summer Olympics, and award-winning blockbusters like Forrest Gump, Braveheart, and Titanic captured our hearts. In 1991, Weber State College became Weber State University.
I attended Weber State in 1990 and graduated in 1994. And then I had the opportunity to come back and work at Weber State in 1998, and I've been here ever since. I'm currently the Director of Student Involvement and Leadership, so I get the opportunity to work with all the student leaders and the clubs and organizations, the activities, the service, the Diversity and Unity Center, and all the co-curricular activities outside of the classroom.
I was at Weber State. I started in 1988, and I graduated, I think, in '92. I worked there for 2 or 3 years in different roles, including about a year and a half or 2 years as the manager of the Union Building. That was a lot of fun.
Throughout the 90s, students of Weber State appreciated the quality of education and the lifestyle found on campus, and many returned to carry on the tradition as contributing faculty and staff.
There was a place that we called the Pit, and that was on the 2nd floor, and it was right in the location where the bridge was built between the Union and the Student Services Building. And the Pit was kind of the place to see people and to be seen.
There was a place called the Pit, and all of my friends from my fraternity, from student government, we would just kind of hang out there.
That's where we worked on the posters and we worked on the decorations. Back then we just did everything with the big butcher paper, and we glued things together and made these big decorations for dances or activities. And so the Pit was kind of the place where there was a lot of hanging out.
Well, it was a great place. We had a lot of good times back then. It was a very friendly place. It was a fun place. It was a place that I learned a lot. I learned a lot inside the classroom. I had some great teachers, great relationships with teachers.
The Shepherd Union Building was the social center of campus, where many fond memories were made.
I also remember one year we convinced the administration to let us dump thousands of bouncy balls off the top of the Union Building, and it was a theme like have a ball this year with student activities or something like that. And so thousands of bouncy balls were dropped off the top of the Union Building, and they just bounced everywhere. And again, I'm sure the custodians or the grounds crew didn't appreciate it much, but we found purple bouncy balls for many months after that.
Well, the Union Building was the center, and probably still is the center of student life in terms of student government, all the clubs and organizations. It was a place that you went when you needed to get something to eat, when you needed to relax, when you wanted to hang out with your friends. When you were going to meet someone, usually you were going to meet them in the Union Building.
It felt like everything that was important that happened outside of classroom or anything that was fun, you found that information at the Union. I just think that there were many friends that met and married and got together at the Union. That's where lots of friendships were made, and so the Union was just kind of the heart of the campus.
(2000 to 2010) was an explosive decade in the history of the United States. The events of September 11, 2001 had a significant impact on the country. America's courage was tested again in 2005 with the impact of Hurricane Katrina. 2008 marked a change in America's routine. Barack Obama, the first black president, was elected. Meanwhile, at the turn of the century, student involvement in the Shepherd Union Building continued to grow.
Union Building was important because it was a place of gathering. It was where students could take a break from class, they could enjoy the social life, make friends, and still have educational opportunities. Great place. They had these huge bean bags that were awesome. And they also had fireplaces, so students could just lay on the bean bag and relax for a little bit in between classes.
Enjoyable, relaxing moments are a hallmark of the Union Building. Student innovation enhanced the quality of activities, a tradition that continues since the concept began at the Student Union Building decades earlier. Relationships that began at Weber State can and often do last forever. There are countless stories of success at Weber State, both professionally and academically.
During student government, we had a lot of events. One time, a group of students and I wanted to raise money for the victims of Hurricane Katrina and decided to hold a dance there in the Union Building. And so we tried to market the event and get everybody to come. We had flyers, we were passing them out, but nobody really was that interested. So I borrowed the Waldo suit and went around and handed out the flyers. And things seemed to change. Everybody was excited to see Waldo. People came up and gave me hugs, and the event was great. So we also had one that was like a rodeo type event where we brought in a mechanical bull, and it was a cowboy theme, as well as a lot of other fun things, meetings. It seems like there was always something going on in the Union Building. So. Weber State was awesome. It was full of great people. In fact, that's where I met my wife. Had classes all over campus, loved the area, loved the people, and the professors are the best in the world, so great place. Now I work for the Governor's Office of Planning and Budget. I'm a budget and policy analyst for the state.
Some of the great things about our Union Building is it's big and beautiful, it's open, we have windows everywhere, and it almost gives you the opportunity to take the outside and feel it inside. It's busy, there's the hustle and bustle a little bit. You can sit and have some lunch, have some coffee, you can do your homework in the computer lab, you can go bowling, you can play arcades. One homecoming, my friend and I, we were serving as vice presidents. It was Jared Smedley and I, and we were just finishing up a homecoming activity. We noticed this bunny hopping around on campus, and we'd never seen a bunny on campus before. And so we thought, well, let's see if we can catch it, because that's what you do when you see a bunny. And we did. We thought, why don't we just see if we open the door to the Union Building, he might just hop right in. And so we did, and the bunny was hopping around the Union Building. There was a group of kids studying, and it was the funniest thing to see their face as a bunny hopped up to them. But it is now our funny bunny story that we tell about the Union Building.
The most recent restoration was completed in 2008 for a total of more than 180,000 square feet of space for students to enjoy. From the beginning of a new campus on the bench above Ogden, when students gathered in the tub, there has been a vision of unity and development, of personal associations between students and faculty. It is still a place of learning and an expansion of character. The memories of events that have taken place over the past 50 years in the Shepherd Union Building will live forever in the minds of all of those who bleed purple.